this one. 5,000 day is July 14th, 2001, and today we're going to take a look at the water temperature forecast for the rest of the hurricane season because this is a huge determining factor in how many storms or hurricanes we will see this hurricane season. And we'll talk about the next potential tropical storm that has a small chance of becoming Tropical Storm Fred. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin by taking a look at the current sea surface temperature map for the entire Atlantic at this point, and you see that we're now starting to see the water temperatures warm up. I'd say right around the 26 to 27 degree mark. You're approaching around the 80 Fahrenheit range, and we're starting to see that move further northward. We're seeing that Gulf Stream water move further northward, bringing warmer sea surface temperatures throughout the southeast coast. We're also seeing those water temperatures begin to warm up into the mid to almost the upper 80s in the Gulf of Mexico, and it's extending to the Caribbean as well. However, what's interesting is that just south of the Caribbean, the water temperatures still aren't extremely high at this point, but of course I do expect the rise. We're only in the middle of summer. There's still a whole another, I'd say, 1 to 2 months before we begin to see the sea surface temperatures cool down. And as for the main development region, there, the western portion especially is at over 80 degrees Fahrenheit, while of course the eastern portion is a little less than 80 degrees Fahrenheit when it comes to sea surface temperatures, mainly due to the North Atlantic current that's coming down, bringing a lot of that colder water from the northern Atlantic further southward, bringing those water temperatures cooler than the 80 degree mark Fahrenheit. However, for the most part, a lot of the tropical Atlantic has water that is sufficient enough for tropical cyclone development, so that isn't much of a surprise there since we're in the middle of summer at this point, in the middle of July. Now, moving forward into the temperature anomalies, you're going to see that that right now we're for a lot of the Atlantic, I'd say it's warmer than average at this point. You see that the Southern Caribbean is now warmer than average. However, we do see patches of cooler than average water temperatures throughout the Gulf of Mexico, extending to the eastern coast of the southeast, and we're even seeing cooler than average sea surface temperatures in some portions of the main development region. But I will note that it has been warming up as of recently, because I remember only a couple weeks ago pretty much the entire main development region was absorbed in below average sea surface temperatures. And what's concerning is that despite the cooler than average sea surface temperatures in the main development region during early July, we still saw Tropical Storm Elsa, which eventually became Hurricane Elsa form, which was a tropical wave coming off of Africa, when that typically doesn't happen during the months of June and July, especially when sea surface temperatures are cooler than average, mainly because there isn't enough lift in the main development region to promote some tropical wave to develop like that. But it has happened, which definitely gets me concerned for the rest of the hurricane season, because if Tropical Storm Elsa was able to develop over cooler than average water temperatures in the main development region, in a region that doesn't really develop tropical storms in the month of July, it could show that we're in for a very active hurricane season up ahead. But again, my point is that we do see patches of cooler than average water temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico, some of the east coast of the southeast, and extending the main development region. However, for a lot of the Atlantic, it's currently warmer than average. And I know your question might be, will these cooler than average water temperatures warm up as the summer goes on, as the hurricane season goes on? And the unfortunate answer seems most likely yes, we will see the sea surface temperatures rise throughout the Atlantic at this point. And to take a look at that, for one thing, is that the summer for a lot of the United States is expected to be much warmer than average, and it already has been. I mean, if you look along the West Coast, you see that they're breaking records when it comes to temperature. When it comes to temperatures on the west coast of Canada, reach 121 degrees at one point this summer, which I think was a record and unfortunately took the lives of many. But we've been just seeing a lot of very high temperatures throughout the west coast, and this extends to the east coast as well. In my area, we've been getting consistent temperatures of over 90 degrees in my area, and it's been extending all throughout the United States, and it's expected to continue into the months of August and September, as we're expecting to see a very hot summer throughout the United States. Now, I know what you're thinking is that, oh, that's just the United States. That doesn't really represent the entire Atlantic. And well, yes, while that is true, you have to keep in mind that the United States is very close to the Atlantic. Any sort of weather conditions that happen in the United States will lead on to a butterfly effect into the Atlantic, and all that short wave radiation the United States is heating from is absorbing from the sun. The ocean will also absorb it because the Atlantic Ocean is pretty much bordering or right at along the United States, obviously. So we should see the sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic rise because the overall air temperature in the United States is expected to be higher than average for the most part this summer, which will eventually spread into the Atlantic Ocean. Now, in terms of the tropical cyclones, the potential tropical cyclone we're watching right now, this would become tropical storm Fred. I will get into the sea surface temperature forecast in just a sec, but take a look at tropical storm Fred. It currently has a 10% chance of developing, which is a low chance, and over the next 5 days it is low, as there isn't really much going for this storm in the middle of the Atlantic. For one thing, is that it's a little bit too far north, so it's bound to be over cooler than water temperatures that are cool enough that they're below the threshold of what is needed for tropical cyclone development. And another thing is that it's just gonna deal with a lot of wind shear this far up north. Of course, when we're talking about low pressure systems this far up north, it's bound to experience just very high wind shear. The jet stream isn't too far from the low pressures located this far north, and it's just bound to experience just a lot of upper level winds, and it's not very conducive for a tropical cyclone to develop up north. So as a result, this has a low chance of developing, but it's at least something to be aware of, just because it maybe, if it does develop, bring some waves to the east coast and could more specifically impact Bermuda. Even if this does develop, maybe with some rain showers, but not much of a threat there. But moving on to the sea surface temperature forecast for the Atlantic, you see that for the month of August, this is a CFS's forecast for sea surface temperatures, which is a climatology model, and it forecasts conditions long term into the future. And you see that a lot of the northern Atlantic is experiencing warmer than average sea surface temperatures. However, you see that the main development region, the good news is that currently the CFS model is forecasting right around average sea surface temperatures in the main developed region, so even a patch of below average just off the coast. However, this small patch doesn't really outweigh the fact that most of the Atlantic is warmer than average, and that most of the main developed region is at least around average or slightly above average. So I'd expect that we'll see a more active hurricane season as a result of higher sea surface temperatures. However, if we take a look at the Caribbean, you see that the sea surface temperatures are cooler than average based off CFS model, which definitely would inhibit tropical cyclone development in this region. However, the problem is that just south of the Caribbean islands, it isn't really an area where that's synonymous with tropical cyclone development, as a lot of tropical cyclones actually have a difficult time moving just south of the Caribbean islands, and from what I heard, it's kind of nicknamed the tropical cyclone graveyard or the hurricane graveyard, because a lot of storms seem to die once they move just south of the Caribbean islands into the Caribbean, this far south into the Caribbean Sea. So despite the fact that, so even though the sea surface temperatures are cooler than average in this region, it won't really make, I don't think it will make a huge effect in terms of the hurricane season, uh, hurricane season forecast, since this area doesn't really develop much tropical cyclones outside of maybe the months of October and November, where it's really the only area where the sea surface temperatures are warm enough for tropical cyclone development. But outside of that, most of the tropical cyclones develop in the main development region, and the sea surface temperature forecast from the CFS model is right around average to slightly above average. So I'd expect maybe more tropical cyclones than usual because of that. However, it completely changes in September and definitely becomes more concerning because we see that a lot of the sea surface temperatures begin, the sea surface temperature anomaly is higher, and we see a bigger departure in sea surface temperatures in the main development region, which definitely could promote more lift in the atmosphere, more tropical cyclone development, and this could extend to the Gulf of Mexico as well, where they are also experiencing higher sea surface temperatures. So as a result, this is definitely very concerning. As a result of this, I do expect it to be a more active than usual hurricane season for the sea surface temperatures, the higher than average sea surface temperatures we will experience. And I've been noticing a trend in the northern Atlantic where we're just seeing sea surface temperatures just well above average, and it's been happening. And this has been happening for the past several summers, as we could maybe connect it to some sort of climate change, but I won't go into too in depth with that. But it's just an interesting trend I've been noticing this far up north in the Atlantic. But you see that most of the Atlantic at this point has sea surface temperatures well above average, and that's something to certainly be aware of because that would certainly promote more tropical cyclone development. In the month of October, you see the warmer than average sea surface temperatures continue, and this is definitely concerning. While the main development region isn't really synonymous for tropical cyclone development in the month of October, the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico is, and we see that in this area, most of the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico is has above average sea surface temperatures, with the outlier being just south of Jamaica, where the sea surface temperatures are just below right around average to below average. So that's certainly good news, but I don't think it outweighs the fact that most of the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico and a lot of the East Coast are experiencing sea surface temperatures well above average, and in November it continues. So this is certainly concerning that we're seeing all these months where the CFS model is forecasting above average sea surface temperatures. So to answer your question whether the cooler than average sea surface temperatures we're seeing in certain regions will warm up into the above average range there in the summer, I will say most likely it will, based off the climatology model, based off the CFS model, and I think it will all contribute to a more active than usual hurricane season, unfortunately, as I do expect warmer than average sea surface temperatures to eventually fill in what is currently cooler than average sea surface temperatures, and we could see a more active hurricane season ahead as a result of this. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather content. And I hope you guys all have a great day.